And we're live. Do you see how it does that little thing? Poof, up, like that we're live?
No, that's not when we're live. That's somebody just did a like.
Oh, somebody just did
So
a
every
like.
time they do a like, we get all these
We
like
get these little
yellow
things on the
thumbs.
screen.
Hey, y'all.
So what's happening? So, we are live this evening doing our normal thing. And I'm going to kick this down just a little bit because I'm seeing some red. We are dealing with very slow internet. So I'm just telling you off the bat tonight, if for some reason you see us freeze up for a little bit, hang in there. If the signal looks a little crappy for a minute, it might come back. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. I think you'll like it. Well, what's up, everybody? So, if you're new to the Dylan Talks Tone channel, my name is Dylan. That's me. And this is Leslie. We do this Q&A thing every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's really fun. It is a way for people to come here and ask crazy random questions, and whatever we want to talk about is what we want to talk about, but we also usually have a feature subject. Tonight it is, what is good guitar tone? And I should say any more, because what inspired it is this whole rabbit hole that we've been going down with listening to new music. And we listened to a record. So last week we said we were going to listen to a record. Did you listen to it today?
I did.
And I did too. And then I went off the rails because I actually had to go.
I went a different direction, but okay.
Did you? And she says, I'm going to tell you some stuff tonight, but I'm not going to tell you right now. So I don't even know what that means. I went on a drive for like an hour and a half today because I had to go pick up a shipment.
Did you listen to more?
Yeah. Man, I went completely crazy. So, pretty sweet. One thing, somebody in the comments today was like, I'm going to...
The mics seem really hot.
They do seem really hot, huh?
I mean, somebody said that. I don't know what. Yeah, it's turned red even for me. That's not normal.
I'm trying to figure out how to get these to come down. So, oh, there we go.
But it's not. What does that number mean compared to those numbers?
So this right here, as long as this isn't in the red, we should be good. And I've noticed this is a new piece of software, y'all, and we're trying to figure it out. I think that should be better. I just brought it down.
So Monsters of Id said it. Monsters of Id, does that sound a little better?
Yeah, let us know. So we can actually adjust the microphones on the screen now and not just like at our belt packs. So we're trying some things to get this a little bit better. Thanks for hanging in there with us as we constantly make little improvements and mess around. I think I just spit while I was talking.
Let's see if we can find that back on the video and get like a
slow-mo
or something.
Okay. That might make the Wednesday highlight reel. We'll have to see. So somebody in the comments yesterday or today, might have been yesterday, was like, you're totally blocked because I cannot take all the product placement after watching a beginning reel ad from YouTube, and then you put product placement like your coffee cup and the brand name on your pickup truck, because this was like when I had my Tundra.
Oh, old videos. Yeah. Huh?
So in honor of that guy, and since he blocked me, I wore this. And what we're gonna do is we'll put some runway audio cables in the background up here, and I got my Masters koozie with my, what is this? Not sponsored by Bubbly, but Bubbly, if you're watching. Not sponsored
by the Masters either.
No, but Bubbly, if you're watching, I would love for you to sponsor us because I like your water. I'm fancy like that.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by any of this stuff, is the crazy thing. I have Brewmate koozie and Apple Barn cider tonight.
Yes. So, for those of you that get annoyed with product placement, your product placed up. We might as well just do a quick ad really quick. These are the best cables in the world. And if you want some, Runway Audio, there's a link in the description of this video. You can use Dylan Talks Tone and get 10% off. I've been using them every day since I got them. and they are really, really good. So there you go. Let's get into some questions from the old Patreons, because usually what we do is we do Patreon questions first, and then we jump into the timeline questions as we're chatting about stuff. So we got good ones, really cool questions this week, and I'm kind of stoked to share them with you. So, Mr. Goat, which I love the name, can you tell us about your acoustic? It looks and sounds neato. Speaking
People
of,
should use neato more often.
neato is the greatest word. It is a great
Neato.
word. It is a carbon fiber acoustic guitar made by McPherson. They are a company in Wisconsin, which, not coincidentally, we are in Wisconsin right now.
Not coincidental.
About an hour and a half.
We drove here on purpose.
We drove here on purpose. And I, on purpose, emailed them to see if we could come shoot a video and learn how those carbon fiber guitars are made. So if you want to know about those carbon fiber guitars, I'm hoping that next week we get to go shoot that. So you'll be able to see it in a couple of weeks. I'm really stoked, and I hope that happens. That guitar is very cool. If you go to McPhersonGuitars.com, I think that's their website, you can learn more about them. Space age stuff, man. Just really, really cool stuff. And their wooden guitars are unbelievable. I am 100%. I don't call myself a fanboy of very many brands, but these guys are above and beyond. I love them. Also, if you can hear in the background, we're doing laundry. So we're staying at this RV park. And usually we have a 50 amp 220 service. At this RV park, we only have a 30 amp 220 service, which means that you can't run the air conditioner. You can't run both air conditioners at the same time. You can't run the air fryer and an air conditioner. You can't run the microwave and an air, like that. And we were doing laundry today, and it wasn't drying. So I wanted to try running it while we weren't running the air conditioner, which means right now. So you get to listen to a little bit of laundry in the background. Hopefully it's not super distracting, but that's what we're doing.
Also,
yes.
While we're talking about Wisconsin, everybody says they don't like the Southeast because of the bugs, and these are the worst bugs ever.
It's ridiculous here.
Just saying.
You don't even want to be outside in the evening. You will get taken away. Oh, also, we need to test the audio on the sound effects, so we need a super chat to test that. See how I did that?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Goat had 2 questions, which I don't usually allow, but he had 2 questions. So, of course.
What do you mean you don't allow?
I'm just teasing.
Oh.
I allow. I don't care. What is your... This is a really interesting question that no one has ever asked on the live stream before. What is your relationship like with other independent pickup builders? Is there a brotherhood, or is it cutthroat? I'm not really a brotherhood guy when it comes to this stuff. Like, I'm not a bro dude, so maybe not quite that much, but I don't think it's cutthroat. I don't know very many other pickup builders. Well, I shouldn't say that. I know Brandon Wild guys. I know Odessa. I know... Who else? Actually, I know a lot of pickup builders. Not
Who's
big
the foil
ones.
guy?
McNelly
Yeah.
in Canada. And I'm like actually friends with those 3. So Brandon Wound, McNelly, and Odessa pickups. And back in the day when I had a house, we sold a lot of pickup parts to a lot of other pickup builders. Mm-hmm. So we actually had really good... They knew I made pickups. I knew they made pickups. But they bought all their parts from me. So, or a lot of parts from me, and wire and stuff. So I would say that it's not competitive. I would say at least the ones I've met so far. And I think part of that is I kind of put off that energy. I'm not competitive about it. Like, to me, it's just different flavor. You make something, you do something I don't do, you know? And I recommend all the above guys that I just said for various reasons. If you have a Gibson pickup, like a vintage Gibson pickup that you need rewound, call up Brandon Wound. If you need a gold foil, call up McNelly. If you have some other wacky rewind, like from like a, I don't know, old something that's weird, call Odessa in Kansas. Yeah, I have good relationships with pretty much everybody. I would have to
Somebody
say.
said Wisconsin is not in the southeast. I understand that.
Yeah.
I said people complain about like there's only bugs in the southeast, and we are currently in Wisconsin. I normally live in the southeast, and
Right.
this is worse.
Way worse.
Wisconsin is not in the southeast.
Uh-oh, we got a super
That is
chat.
correct.
Hang on.
What are you doing?
Oh.
Failing. No sound, no super chat.
No sound, no super chat.
Jeez.
Oh, that's much better. We lowered the volume on that just a little bit.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate the super chat very much. I shipped a P90 to you the other day. And for anybody that's waiting on soap bar P90s, those will ship next week. We had a back order issue with the base plates that go underneath them, and they should be here Monday. And that means that Thomas Tourville gets a guitar next week because I'm waiting on that for him too.
I just realized I was taking screenshots, and I'm going to delete them, and we're going to mark comments correctly. Because
Okay.
I don't know why I reverted to old habits.
Okay.
Probably because my phone is in my hands.
Ben wants to know, I recently used PRS MT15. That's a cool low wattage amp. And I love it, but it has a bit of hiss when the amp is on. It sounds almost like a waterfall noise. I've heard this is pretty common with high gain tube amps. This is actually my first high gain all tube amp. Any thoughts? I don't know specifically about that one, but there are some high gain tube amps that do have a high noise floor. I'd be interested to know, with all of the knobs turned all the way down, how noisy it is. And then as you bring up the preamp first, does it get noisy? And then you bring up the power amp, does it get noisy? And figure out which stage is noisier than the other. And maybe you can, and also EQ, see how you EQ it. I don't know. Like a 5150, for example, is pretty noisy, but it's just kind of just the way it is. But you can mess with that unless there's an actual problem, which I don't know if there is. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. Obviously not knowing the specific situation, but that is definitely that's definitely a thing. They can be noisy. Jefferson, what would you consider to be acceptable minor blemishes for discounted guitars from online retailers? There's a line between, yeah, I can live with that, and shooting a flaming arrow into it as it floats into the sea, assuming you couldn't return or resell it. So I actually want to do a video about this. You can take over if you want. I want to do a video about this because I think that there is a lot of people think that quality problems are quality problems, and they're not. And they're just inherent to guitars. But when it comes to blem stuff, it just depends how particular you are. I'm not 100% particular on the instruments that my work instruments. Like if I buy a Mexican Strat or even an American Standard Strat or Tele that I'm going to gig, I don't care, because that it's a piece of tool. It's a tool. Like it's a
piece of tool.
Well, you know, like
it has all the pieces.
You know, your screw gun. It's not like you carefully set it down. Like you might like use one foot to kick it over to your hand so you can pick it up and it scrapes across the floor. It's a tool, right? You're using it and it's within its durability to be treated as such. A lot of guitars are like that too. And you know, on the other hand, my McPherson, even though it's like indestructible, I don't want any scratches on it. Like, don't play with no belt buckles, don't scratch the top, don't ding up the neck. Like, I don't want anything to happen to that guitar. I want it to be 100% perfect at all times forever. My Gibson, my new Gibson that I just got, it has a couple of blemishes on it, but they're just kind of the nature of nitro shrinking over time and stuff. And I'm purposely, this is the first time I've ever done this with a new guitar. I just cleaned it for the first time today. I'm purposely not cleaning it because I want
Because you want the mojo?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought that's why I didn't clean it.
No.
Oh.
I don't want scum. But I want the oils in my arms and hands and stuff to age the guitar. Like, I want it to age. I want the nitro to flatten out. Like, I don't want it to be as shiny. Like, I want it to age. And so I'm trying to get that to do that more quickly. So this question is a really subjective thing. I think everybody else on the feed should get in the comments and answer this for themselves.
Is there does everybody buy guitars with the intent of reselling? I feel like we get a lot of questions that are framed in that direction.
So,
like, I don't want to buy an off-brand because I can't sell it. So it's an interesting dynamic, right? So you're not even shopping for yourself. You're shopping for the anticipation of the next person that wants it.
I think that just goes back to the thing of the constant chase of the thing.
Oh.
You know,
I was curious. I mean, obviously you do it like you want the value of your vehicle to stay as high as possible because you might not keep it forever, but some people buy it with the intent of keeping it forever.
I think about it differently. I look at it as, I mean, our life is like this. Like, if we pay something for a certain amount of money and we use it for a certain amount of time, even if we don't sell it for as much as we think we should, you look at the amount of smiles and the amount of use that you got out of that thing, and you decide, are you happy with the investment in that thing that you personally put into it? Like, to me, it's, like smiles per gallon. Like, that's what I call it. I call it smiles per gallon. Like, how much I invested in a thing. So, if I buy $1,000 Strat, like I did a few months ago, and I put some pickups in it, and I play it for 6-8 months. Well, I bought it in January. I bought it December 31st of last year because it was a tax thing. So, December 31st of last year, I bought the white Strat, right? And that's getting shipped out to the new owner next week. So, I've had it 8 months, right? Mm-hmm. I paid $1,000 for it. I think I sold it for $800, and I put a set of pickups in it. So, theoretically, I lost money on it. Did I? No. Because I played it for 8 months, I enjoyed it, and I look at what I got out of it versus where it's going, and I'm satisfied with that. All these people that flip stuff, I don't understand the people that, like, buy gear for the purpose of, and then, like, that kills the resale. I'm like, well, if you didn't enjoy it because you're worried about resale, then why are you buying it?
Well, it looks like we're talking to the wrong crowd. Most people chiming in are saying they buy them to keep them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're buying what they want, and they're buying them to keep. So that's
well, cool. That's good. I mean, I've spent many times in many a forum, like, trying to understand, like, does the pedal come with the box, and does it have Velcro on the bottom? Because that takes away from the value if it has Velcro on the bottom. I'm like, dude, I just saved you the money of buying the Velcro. Yes, it has Velcro on the bottom. And no, you don't get a discount because it has Velcro on the bottom. Like, to me,
you get picky about something you step on. Okay. I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm not a musician. No.
I know, but see, this is why I like your, like, not a musician perspective on this stuff. Because it's very real, and it puts a reality into this thing that we are always talking about. No, those are great. Those are great questions. Okay, so
that was
the one we just did.
Mm-hmm.
BC. This is a pretty good question too. BC says.
Is this BC?
This
Rich?
is BC Rich. Yeah.
Okay.
He says, now that Charlie Watts has passed on, I've started to be more interested in playing songs in the alternate tunings that are used in Stone songs. Is it better to have a single guitar reserved for alternate tunings, or better to switch among several? Having a permanently down guitar risk damaging the neck over a long period of time? It does not. The only thing you're dealing with there is ease of use and wondering if you're going to have to mess with it in between each setting, because when you change tunings, it's going to change tension on the neck, which means you're going to have to mess with the truss rod sometimes, but not all the time. So it just kind of depends. And you can also play with string gauges to offset. So like if you're tuning down, go up a string gauge and you wouldn't have to make any adjustments. So you'll have to kind of play with that. But no, it won't matter if you go back and forth a bunch. I mean, it'll just be inconvenient sometimes depending on how far your alternate tuning is from standard. Or how far, I shouldn't even say from standard, how far it's from your standard tuning that you normally use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Super chat from Mr. Goat. On a video you said that... Sorry,
Stalker.
I forgot the noise.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Goat.
On a video you said that Leslie loves ladybugs. Have you ever been bit by the Asian lookalikes? No.
I didn't know that was a thing. Like lookalikes, like they look just like a ladybug?
I thought he meant like I was bit by the Asian bug.
Oh, that's weird.
That's not
I think
what he meant.
They are rude. That does sound rude. Wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that
I need
before.
to Google this.
Thanks for the super chat, Mr. Goat. And she's gonna Google that, and I'm gonna ask.
I do like ladybugs. There's like a whole story for another time if you'd like. And I have a tattoo of a ladybug.
She does. Charles says, this is not a guitar related question, but what is your average travel speed in your motorhome when you're towing your Jeep? 65 miles an hour.
Yep.
I like to go 65.
Assuming we're on an interstate where the speed limit is 70, not like all the time, by the way.
Right. I don't typically go faster than 65. If I have a tailwind, sometimes I will crank it up to 70. My tires technically are speed rated for 75, but that makes zero sense to me because I know lots of people that go way faster than me with those same tires, but I still don't do it. And because speed rating on tires is kind of important, but it's also sort of bogus, but that's a completely different conversation.
Asian lady beetles are longer and have more white dots than a regular ladybug.
I've never even...
I don't know I wouldn't have known to look.
Yeah, and I wouldn't know that from however many feet away or whatever that I would be able to tell the difference.
Well, apparently don't get bit by them. Yeah, it's really subtle.
So they have dots behind their face?
Yeah, and because they both have white, but this one has like extra.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that. I would have known the difference to be able to tell. That's kind of interesting.
Guess when we get bit by one, we'll know. I'm a butterfly man myself. I like butterflies too. I would like to take pictures of butterflies, but they don't like to stay still.
Nope. We bought that big lens, and we've been trying to take pictures of stuff, and they are...
Lanternfly? I don't know what that is either.
We have some other questions in there that you have flagged.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Oh, we don't have to do that anymore. You're right.
Oh, he says the Asian ones are orange instead of red.
Oh, Thumbs Down Frank is here. What's going on, Thumbs Down guy? It's probably product placement guy. Because anytime somebody says they're going to delete you, or they're going to ban you, or they're going to block you...
They're still there.
Oh, yeah.
Lurking.
Obviously. Yeah, he's obviously going to watch
Lurking.
every video for the next year. The reason I know is because they can't handle it, and they lose self-control, and they comment on another video.
They can't handle it.
It's so funny.
What did he say? A lantern something. Oh, you want questions?
Yeah.
So
that's a super chat.
Oh, go ahead. Yep. There we go.
John Clark.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Dylan Talkstone, the pickups in my Jazzmaster look like P90s, but they are not. What makes them different in their construction from a P90? That is a great question. We have a video about this. It's pretty old. They are not P90s because they do not have humbucker magnets in them. They don't have... So, a Jazzmaster pickup is made like a Strat pickup, in that the magnet poles are the pole pieces. It is also super thin. It's only 1/8 of an inch tall, actually, where a P90 is 1/4 of an inch tall. They both have about 10,000 winds on them, but the shape of the coil is completely different. The magnet construction is completely different, and so thus they sound different. We do have a good video on this, but it's a few years old now, I think. Good question.
Thanks for the super chat, John.
And thank you for the super
I actually
chat.
had marked your earlier question, but you got moved to the front of the list with a super chat.
Awesome. What else we got in
You
there?
want some questions then?
Yeah, and then we want to talk about this whole music thing and guitar tone thing, because I think it's very interesting.
Okay, so I think I've alluded to this, but maybe I haven't said it. The program that we're using lets us mark the questions. So if they look like a question, they still go by fast. If they look like a question, I try to grab them, and then it puts them in whatever order it wants to. So they might not be in the order you sent them.
Gotcha.
All right, Mike Ivy.
What's up, Mike?
I was wondering if you had a minute to contemplate the wiring question I asked you last week about the coil splitting humbucker with a 3-way blade switch.
No.
Stuck you to the line.
I completely failed. And I'm going to make a list right now.
Ooh.
I am going to write this down, and
Mike.
Thank you.
Yes, I read your question on purpose.
Yes, I appreciate that. And she read it because she knew that I didn't do it, is what it is. Because that's what happens when I get busy. I'm writing it down right now. Next question.
All right. I don't know if I understand this one, so I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
Zachary McGuire. Thoughts on a Gibson J160E, it being a laminated top instead of a solid wood top, and that the bracing is a ladder bracing, not X bracing.
My opinion on that is, if you like how it sounds, get it. If you don't like how it sounds, don't get it. That being said, play a non-laminated top guitar next to the laminated top guitar and decide if it makes a big difference for you. I do not get hung up on bracing types. I'm a Martin guy when it comes to that stuff, and they move the bracing around and do all this stuff, and I don't get all bent about it when they do that. I just like pick up the guitar and I'm like, oh man, this is awesome, or it doesn't really grab me. You know, if it doesn't really grab you, then don't buy it. That's my only thing with that. They do all those changes. They make all that stuff. They do this stuff basically so that they can say they made a change, is my opinion. Like, and you know, a laminated top is typically like built down to a price to save money. So then you have to decide, is the solid top sound that much better to you to justify the price difference for you? Because traditionally,
it's all about you.
Because it's all about you, and it's all about whether you like that guitar or not. If it really grabs you, then buy it. I have a laminated top guitar at home. I don't travel with it anymore because it was my grandfather's. And I love it. I played it for like 20 years. I love that guitar. And the only reason I stopped is because he passed away and it's not in the greatest of shape anymore, and I just wanted to, keep it. But I still like how it sounds. Even though I have other more amazing guitars, I still like how that guitar sounds. So just do what feels right when you play it.
All right. You want to do a few more?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to do some fun ones?
Mm-hmm.
David Kornblatt shared a few fun questions.
Okay.
He says, do you like Jeff Beck or Eddie Van Halen more?
Jeff Beck.
Do you like or love offset-shaped guitars like Jazzmaster or Jaguar?
Jazzmasters, not Jaguars. I don't like the scale length of a Jag.
Are you a cat or dog guy?
Both.
Do dogs or cats make better tone?
Depends who's in heat when.
Oh my gosh, somebody else had the same answer. That is so funny. I was going to tell you that was somebody's response.
So here's what I'll say. I hate barking dogs. You should be able to teach your dog how to not bark. Period. I like a cat that talks to me, though. I do like it when they do that little thing.
Chatter.
They chatter and they do that thing. I think that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I do not like barking dogs. Super chat. Or is that the same old one?
Nope. I think it's a new one.
Mr. Goat.
Mr. Goat. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. I'm excited to get my first order from you in a day or two. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us. Heck yeah, dude. Thank you, Mr. Goat, for being here and for being a Patreon patron and super chatting. Oh, we got another one.
Woohoo!
Noise.
These are fun.
They are. Do you buy any other...
name.
Oh, Corey Forgrave. What's up?
Hi, Corey. Thank you.
This might be the first one for him. I haven't seen his name before, so welcome. And you might have been here. I apologize if I missed it before, but it just stood out to me. Do you buy other brand pickups to see what makes them special? If so, have you checked out the DiMarzio Fortitude? Also, does DiMarzio use circuit boards? I have one and it looks like a green board. So, I often buy pickups to cut apart, actually. Mm-hmm. We typically I'll buy stuff used on Reverb and on eBay if I'm curious about it. If you'll recall the video where we cut a Fishman Fluence single coil in half, we've cut apart a lot of stuff. I like to know what's inside, so I do that. Typically, I don't do it for a tone reference because honestly, 99% of the time, all these pickups are the same. They're just wound a little different. Like and you can't count winds or anything, so I don't get super off in the weeds about it, but I will, when it looks to be special and something a little different, I will buy it and cut it up and see what's in there. And when I do that, I make a video, and it usually pisses half the internet off because I cut it apart. But
and because they fell for the marketing spiel that really sold those pickups.
Exactly.
When you find out they're not special.
Exactly. Is that another one?
No, that's the same one.
Oh, okay. It just looks the same on the...
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Corey, for the question. And your DiMarzio question about circuit boards. There are a few brands that are using printed circuit boards as base plates and then putting all their soldering into it. It's a manufacturing thing because they can flow solder it. It is not contrary to popular belief, just because you see a circuit board in a guitar doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And in this case, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just how they manufacture them. And I think it's cool because it actually kind of keeps costs down. So it's good. I like it.
Cool. Yeah. What do we want to talk about next? And then we'll do another round of questions.
Okay. So let's talk about... So last week we asked you for a list of names of songs and bands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And albums. And we picked an Angels and Airwaves record to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to it today. We listened to... I didn't write the whole thing down. It's like No Need to Whisper or something, 2005 or 6.
We Don't Need to Whisper.
Yes.
I wrote it
Tom
down.
DeLonge,
Mm-hmm.
Wacko, believes in aliens. Definitely could tell in the song lyrics. Doesn't trust the government. Overall, pretty cool dude. Because he's weird. I like it that he's weird. The drummer on that record is the same drummer from The Offspring.
Okay. What's his name?
I can't remember. Adam something?
Maybe he is on that album. When was that album?
He is on the first two.
Okay.
Later, the Nine Inch Nails, I knew that's why you were going to argue with me on that one.
That
because
dude's cool.
because you are, yeah. What's his name? Iliad
Island, yeah.
Island, yeah. Anyway,
Elin. Depends on how
Elin,
you,
however you
yeah.
say it, yeah. Anyway, that's the Nine Inch Nails drummer. That is later. I looked because I wanted to see. I knew it wasn't Travis Barker
Right.
because you can immediately tell when you listen to that record, it's not Travis Barker.
Yep.
Travis Barker has, and I know we're a guitar channel, but man, when there's a good drummer, it's a good drummer. And he's good, but he's not Travis Barker.
Right.
Travis Barker is good. So what were your thoughts on this record?
Okay, so my first impression, which is not supposed to happen, right? So my first impression is that I'm supposed to like it. 1, because you recommended it. 2, because Dylan told me I was going to like it. And 3, then he told me Peter McKinnon likes it. And I was like, I'm going to have to like it.
Did you like it?
I did like it. I would like it better live.
Oh, duh.
I'm not a musician. I cannot tell what is happening or how they are making things happen with the sounds. And I think the songs are too long to just listen to an album. But I would like that live.
So, that's interesting you say that. Because the reason I thought you would like it is because of all the swooshy mix stuff. They move a lot of sounds around.
But I don't like it when they do
busy.
that with the vocals. I don't like the way the vocals overlap and are really spacious.
Interesting. Okay. Coming to the guitar tone part of it, I like that he just makes noises.
Yes. But I don't understand how he makes those noises, so I would like to be able to watch him.
He has a pedal board that is the size of our motorhome, and he makes a lot of crazy noises.
Yeah.
The reason I brought this up, and the reason we titled the video, What is Good Guitar Tone, is because as we listen to this stuff, and then I went down this entire rabbit hole. Tosin Abasi, Periphery, like all these other crazy weird noise bands, basically. Not noise bands, but like new guys, not classic rock and antique rock stuff. And I was like, when did it switch from the guitar always sounding like a Les Paul and a Marshall, or a Strat and a Princeton, or a Strat and a Twin, or a Tele and a Twin, or an SG and a Marshall, to somebody just decided, you know what? That's a musical instrument that's supposed to make noise arranged in various arrangements. I'm going to make whatever I want with it. And I was like, wait a minute. All this guitar tone and tone wood and pots and caps and stuff, like, none of it matters. Because he's literally like, I mean, I know what matters. He picks a bass line, like a bass line clean tone and a bass line guitar. I know he makes choices and he has those. But are those choices, or are those the guitars that he had the day that he wrote the song? And then the whole thing got shaped around it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is Tom DeLonge, like...
First of all, he wrote all the songs.
Yes.
On the entire album.
Right.
You don't find that very often anymore.
No. And is he searching for a sound when he did it? Or did he just say, I wonder what this does, and like made a noise and was like, oh, that's super cool, and then a riff came from it, and then a song came from it? Like, why don't we...
I feel like I would assume he's a riff guy.
Yes, agreed.
Because of the way all the songs introduce all the riffs of the song before any lyrics happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was interesting, too, because you don't usually get that. There's usually, like, a lead up to something, and maybe there's some kind of high point or solo, and then it fades out, but I feel like you know every piece of music that's going to be in the whole song, and then you hear it switch in the song.
They're not 3-minute pop song formulaic.
No.
They're not. They're
a little long.
Which is what you don't like. Yeah. But they're not just like intro, verse, chorus, intro, verse, chorus, bridge. You know, like, it's not like that. But they're not like Fish. Or, you know, something.
Right.
Anyway, what else?
I was going to say, the whole time I was listening to it, it was making me, I was trying to think, this reminds me of something. What does it remind me of? And I just
Blink-182.
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
Not at all. But it's so funny. You know, all these AI based things are super smart. So I'm listening to this album, searched it, just hit play in order on the album, Apple Music.
Then when it
As
got
soon
done.
as it was over, Imagine Dragons. I was like, that's it. That's who they remind me of.
And you know what's so funny? In my world, and in my comments section, and in my Facebook interactions, people bag on Imagine Dragons all the time.
Good.
And they are so good.
Yeah.
They are so good. And to see them live is unbelievable. We saw them at, did we see them in Texas or Phillips Arena in Atlanta or?
Have we seen them?
Yeah, we saw Imagine Dragons.
With who?
By themselves. It was part of.
Okay.
Where was that?
Is that who that was?
Yeah.
That was at a convention.
Yeah, where was that?
Oh, where? Like
St.
city?
Louis? It was either St. Louis, San Antonio. Anyway, we've traveled so much I can't remember where we saw this band. But anyway, they were amazing.
So we saw them at a private event. So I wanted to know who this band was. Hang on.
Nick Sparrow says, I just learned about you and your channel from the most recent Tone Mob podcast. Look forward to digging into your videos. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was so fun. I forgot to mention that I did that Tone Mob. For those of you that don't know, now you do. I did that Tone Mob podcast with Blake, and man, was that fun. It was really fun. We chatted for like an hour and a half, and what does he say? Like, it's a podcast about guitar, maybe sometimes, or something like that. So you'll go off on tangents and talk about other stuff, movies or whatever, and and then come back around. I like it because it's less formal and it's like less nerdy, even though he really is like a super guitar nerd. But I really enjoyed doing it. So
that's cool.
Fun. Anyway,
so I wanted to know who these people were because all you told me was about Tom DeLonge, and I was like, well, they don't sound like Blink-182, so who are these people? And then I went down a whole rabbit hole with their current drummer.
Yeah.
Because he's like a prodigy. I had no idea.
And he plays all the instruments on all his records and writes everything, right?
Yeah, but he also, played in Woodstock in his band at age 11. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records as the youngest person to play Woodstock in 99. The 99 Woodstock.
Oh, I was going to say.
No. 99 Woodstock.
I was at that one.
He played with FON, Freak of Nature.
Really?
Yeah, 11 years old.
Wow.
So, if that's not cool enough, because he plays with the Nine Inch Nails now, he is also the youngest member in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they got inducted in 2020. He was born in 88, and he is the first person that has been born in the 80s that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He plays for somebody else, too, not just Nine Inch Nails.
Currently?
Yes.
I think he's just doing these two things right now.
Oh, okay.
But he has played for a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very good drummer.
And trained with Travis Barker when he was a young kid. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So if I learn nothing, he's not even on this album, but I researched this band and I'm like, oh, I have a new drummer I want to follow now.
So
I do love Nine Inch Nails.
One of the things you'll find with us as we go down this rabbit hole of music, because we're going to do this again next week, and we're going to talk about a record. The reason I want to do this is because I want to reference it to what we think is good guitar tone. I just feel like viewing the instrument as a tool to create whatever we want with it makes so much more sense than thinking it has to be a certain sound because that's what it was in the beginning.
Yeah. I know this is not guitar tone. One more thing I want to mention that I learned. All 4 members of the current band are all keyboard players also. So I wonder if that inspires some crazy tones.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because maybe they write with a keyboard.
Because I've always said, like in the praise and worship crowd,
Yeah.
that they spend all their time making their pedal boards so they don't have to have a keyboard player when they should just get a keyboard player.
Right. Anyway,
'Cause
I just
that's
thought it
what
was
happens.
interesting. Like, usually people have a couple of roles, but for
Well,
them
even-
all to be able to play keyboard and it be listed like they probably all play keyboard at some point, then I really wanted to see them live.
And
also.
even Trent Reznor plays keyboard too, right? So, and he's a
Yeah.
guitar player and a keyboard player and a vocal. Like,
well, he's everything.
he's an
too,
everything
yeah.
guy, yeah.
He could be
But
like a one-man band.
It is
probably.
interesting that these guys, these new, I just think that we get so down this rabbit hole all the time of like vintage guitar tone, and then you're like, wait a minute, it's not vintage anymore. Like, it's 2021, and what are people doing with guitars now? And they're making noises.
What is technically vintage now? What decade would we be in?
Well,
Like,
what was that
can't
meme
be-
the other day?
Oh, that was horrible.
Share that meme. Because I thought about this in relation to guitars.
So the meme was to remember that 1980 is as far from 2021 as it is from 1939.
Right.
It's so depressing.
So the same distance in years from
Yeah.
1939 to 1980, from 1980 to 2021. So, which is 1980 to 2021 is 41 years, right? So, I mean, antique, they always considered antique stuff, like classic stuff, to be 20 years.
There's a documentary about that album we just listened to called Start the Machine.
Oh, is there?
That's
Who's
what Ben-
telling us that?
Ben Burzak.
Oh, thanks, Ben. Yeah, I just think when you think about what the musical journey over time has been, we start to look at, so then we go back to what we think is
We're
good
failing
guitar
here.
tone. Uh-oh. Ivan Gibson Les Paul Jr. with the truss rod practically loose, and I still don't have enough relief. Do I go with heavier strings? You don't have enough relief. Are you sure that the truss rod's actually loose in the cavity? Does it rattle? Like, because it's a single action truss rod, so on one of those, I think. So is it actually loose, or has it bound up in some way or gotten, because I've had that happen on a single action truss rod. You could like take the nut all the way off the end and it still doesn't let go. That'd be interesting to know first. Yeah, we have this vision of like what we think guitar tone should be from really a time period that is a fraction of what recorded music has been. So recorded music started in the late 40s, really, when you really think about really. So from the 40s to 1970 or 1975, that's 35 years.
He said I can unscrew the nut. He's clarifying his question. He said he can unscrew the nut. Ivan.
Yeah, but is the truss rod itself loose in the guitar? Can you feel it moving? So you have a 40-year period, and probably less than that, really, when you think. Let's take the 50s out of it. So let's take the 50s out of it completely, and we go from 1963, which is when the Rolling Stones were formed, and the end of the Beatles, really, right in that area. And then you go to the mid-70s. So now you have a 10 to 15 year period where everybody bases all of what they think guitars should sound like on this 15-year period. And really, when it comes down to it, of all of the music that was out in that 15-year period, we then distill that down to 50 or 60 records, and we think that's what guitar is supposed to sound like. That just doesn't make sense to me, because now we're 40 years on from 1980, and we're still worried about what's going on back then. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, everything else evolves, so let's let it evolve. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate that time period, I was also listening to AC/DC in the Jeep the other day because I was like, I love, actually, I was listening to AC/DC because in my headphones yesterday because I'm getting this really good clean tone with my SG through the Marshall, and it really reminds me of like Malcolm Young rhythm tone, and I was super stoked on it. And so I was listening to some AC/DC and referring to that, and I really, really love it. So I'm not saying I don't appreciate that, but what I am saying is, now that we've traveled on through time, it's so fun to look at all this other stuff and figure out what people are doing. And this Angels and Airwaves record was a really good choice for that. I just really enjoyed it a lot. We should pick another one. I'll tell you what. Let's go 80s next week.
80s?
Yeah. And we should pick these during the show. That way other people can listen to it too.
Is there two choices? Can we do it either or in the comments and then pick at the end?
Yeah. Should we listen to Poison Native Tongue? That's on the list from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Beastie Boys record. And which Beastie Boys record should it be if we pick that? So get in the comments and pick a Beastie Boys record, or should we listen to this Poison Native Tongue thing, and we'll scroll back through in a few minutes and see if we can get some.
Ivan said it's not loose, not that I can tell.
Okay, so I'm wondering if it's actually bound up in there. Like it's actually not...
Adjusting?
Yeah. Well, what happens sometimes is if they get over-adjusted, they'll get bent and kind of like cockeyed to one side, and the... because the single action truss rod just bends when you tighten it up. And so then if it doesn't like unbend, or if it's like kind of like bound in there, it won't spring back to the middle and it'll let the neck go. So I wonder if that's what's happening.
Oh, before we move on, who was the chick I was supposed to listen to a long time ago?
Oh,
because I did, but I forgot her name. Anyway.
Me too.
Whoever I was supposed to listen to.
Not Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Was it Kate Bush?
Yeah. Yes. I did listen to it because I didn't do it when I was supposed to. And then I thought about it after random one day, and he reminded me again who it was. So I did listen to it. I did not have anything specifically negative to say, except that it's hard to listen to some of that older music that might not have been mixed well when they like redo it, and then it doesn't. I don't think it's supposed to sound like that. I think I would like her, but I couldn't like what I was.
You didn't like the mix.
To. Yeah. So anyway, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't my favorite because I'm not a big female artist fan at all. And she reminded me of all those typical like ballady girls from, and I just don't care about that.
You know what's funny about that? And I get a lot of flack for this. I have gotten a lot of flack for it in the past. Like, I don't like a lot of classic rock records because they are poorly mixed. Like, I don't... I'm just going to say it. I cannot listen to an entire Led Zeppelin record. I can't listen to 2 Led Zeppelin songs in a row. I am not a fan. I've never been a fan. I 100% respect their place in history. I think they should be in all the history books and get all the awards and be in all the museums and all of the things. I'm personally not a fan, and it's because I do not like the way their music is mixed. And I am a fan of technology when it comes to recording. I do not like old sounding stuff. I like the fidelity of what technology has brought us. I am a fan of it, and I do like it. And I know there's a lot of people that don't. We have friends that don't use any digital anything. They record on 2-inch tape. I've got a buddy of mine that uses a Neve console and records on tape, and he loves it. And he does it, and it sounds great. But I am not a fan of the method. And the other thing that comes along with that is, as you try to go down this whole like tone rabbit hole, remember that you will not be able to recreate the tone of a vintage record because you're listening to a vintage record. You're not hearing it live. I was listening to a guitar player play a guitar that I thought should have sounded a certain way. And he said, "Have you ever heard one in person?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Have you ever heard this song played in person by somebody who could actually play this song?" And I said, "No." So he played it. And I'm like, oh, that's what that's supposed to sound like. I had no idea. And he's like, "Well, what record did you hear it on?" And I told him, and he's like, "Well, here's the reason why it doesn't sound the same." And because he's a recording engineer, and he's like, "Because it was done on this console, and these were the settings that they used, and these were the preamps that they used, and this and this and this gave it this much color, and blah, 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 blah. And if you have a guitar amp and a guitar in a room, you will never be able to get that sound because of all of those other outboard factors in the recording studio when they made that record. You'll never sound like that." And I was like, "So what you're telling me is all these people on the internet who are trying to sound a certain way to get a certain guitar tone are chasing a record sound that is not the same as what the guitar really sounds like." And he's like, "Exactly. That's exactly what's happening." And I was like, I mean, I knew that academically. I knew
but
those
to actually
facts.
Get all the pieces.
But to sit in the room with a guy that actually did it and the right instrument and the guy with the talent to pull it off, I was like, whoa. To hear that in person for the first time in that way, in that circumstance, I was just like, this is crazy. I want to do a video about it, but it's got to be the right time and place because I want to do it right with the right people. But that's an interesting thing to think about as you chase tone. And that's another reason why listening to this new stuff, I'm not so concerned about I wonder what Resistance's pots are. I'm thinking more about the inspiration for it and what he's trying to do, and why does his guitar sound like a chainsaw right now, and then now it sounds like a spinning Leslie speaker, and then it sounds like, and you're kind of just going through all these, your brain's on this journey while you're listening to this stuff, and it has nothing to do with pots and caps and tone wood. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And I love that feeling of getting lost in that. I love that. That's what music is supposed to do, and I think it's really cool.
All right, I really think we're 6 and 5. It was super close.
Okay.
And then 6 and 5, Beastie Boys.
Okay.
And then the most listed album was Paul's Boutique.
That is awesome.
So
that's what it'll be.
We'll listen to, if you want to listen with us.
Yeah. Before next Thursday.
Paul's Boutique.
I actually didn't listen to the record I was supposed to listen to until today because I wanted it to be fresh in my brain.
He also forgot until last night.
Well, I didn't forget until last night. I remembered again last night. And then I was like, no, I'm going to listen to it today.
He reminded me today.
And I actually listened to it. I did it 2 different ways, too. I listened to it in the headphones.
Yep.
Because I have good headphones. And then I listened to it in the Jeep on the way again.
Which one was your favorite?
Headphones. We need to replace the speakers in the soundbar. In the Jeep, the ones in the roll bar up here, they're starting to get a little rattly. We need to replace those.
Okay.
So that will happen. We'll make a video about it. That'll be a Friday video. Because music is too important to deal with crappy speakers.
Sounds like a slogan for somebody.
Music isn't too important for just about anything.
All right. What do you want to do now? Take some questions?
Yeah, let's take a couple more questions.
Topic. It's already 8 o'clock.
No, that's it.
It's already what o'clock? Whatever. Oh, was that all your tone conversation?
That was really it.
Looped into it?
Yeah, that's why. I wanted to kind of work that together because I'm kind of going down this whole rabbit hole lately of listening to artists' intentions with music.
How do you know what their intentions are? Do they have good intentions or do they have ill intentions?
Well, you have to listen to them. Like, you have to, you've talked about that. Like, you didn't really like an artist, and then you listened to some interview or something, and you realized why they wrote a song or why they,
Yeah, for me, it becomes, so it's, this sounds terrible. It is really hard for me to listen to music that I have no connection to. If nothing's familiar, even if one song was familiar, it's helpful. But if nothing's familiar, so I have no personal ties, music is one of those things like there could be one song on the album and you can remember where you heard it. Did you like it? Did you buy this? You're tied to it some way. But when I have no ties, it's hard for me to just listen. And of course, I'm not a musician, so I'm listening a different way. But because of what I connect to, I want to know who the people are. I want to see the lyrics because that was hard to listen to, like to understand words. So I literally like had the lyrics running while the song was playing. But yeah, so even people we started this when the kids got into music because it's hard to understand what draws people to music. So I wanted to know, and I wanted to know who the people were, why they did stuff, what was important to them, because if I can appreciate what you like, then I have a different appreciation for it. So yeah, it's a different journey for me than just the instruments or whatever.
Right. Well, see, and that's the thing is I feel like I've gone so far down this whole tone rabbit hole that I have lost why I love music so much, and that's why we're doing this. I want to get back to listening to music for music, and then it fuels creativity. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've been playing almost every day now. Like, I'm playing more, I'm like riffing more, I'm like it's completely inspiring to not forget why we do this. That's all. That's what I'm saying. Okay, we got some questions.
Yes. Okay, so
oh, we got a super chat too.
Oh, so it does tell us. That's what that is. My bad. 1, 2. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew Perkins.
He lives in Wisconsin. He can confirm bugs are awful and watch out for ticks. They have limes here.
Good
yeah,
times.
I did know that.
Nice.
Yeah, I did know that. Now you're making me like itchy just thinking about it, man. I hate bugs. I don't care about bugs. I just don't like getting bit.
Yeah. Why do they have to bite? So
when they bite me, I like get all swole up and have bad problems.
Swole up.
I mean,
big muscle.
Yeah, not like that.
Swole.
No, I don't get swole.
Oh, all right. Questions. So, Ryan Elias, what makes a Jaguar pickup different from other single coils like Strat or Telly?
So it's basically a Strat pickup, but the difference is it's got that metal claw around the outside of it, and that does exactly the same thing, but different. That the metal base plate on a Telly does. It changes the magnetic field, and it keeps it in. Actually, in the case of a Jaguar, that's what that claw thing is on there. So yeah, they're about the same. They're wound about the same as a Strat pickup, but they just have that.
Do you know this person?
I do not.
Just curious.
I do not.
David Kornblatt says, I think you said it a couple of different ways. DiMarzio or Duncan's, which do you like more? And do you know or talk to Seymour Duncan or Larry DiMarzio?
I don't know Larry DiMarzio. I do have a friend that used to work there. I have met Seymour Duncan a few times, and his main design guy, it's a weird story. In my former life, I designed dirt bike parts, and I made I did dirt bike stuff, and I designed parts for the fueling systems on dirt bikes. And one of my really good regular customers who would buy a new motorcycle every year and then need stuff from me every year was Seymour Duncan's right-hand man. And so I actually got to be friends with him, 20 years ago, before I even started any of this stuff. And we do chat from time to time. I don't call him all the time, but I do chat with him from time to time. As far as a choice between the two, I am a fan of more Seymour Duncan pickups than a fan of DiMarzio's, because I feel like DiMarzio stuff does more high gain stuff and I'm a more low output stuff. But I'm actually not that big of a fan of most of the Seymour Duncan stuff, except for like some of their custom shop stuff. Yeah.
Monsters of the Id asked, do you build amps?
No. I don't like to make things that could kill me if I screw it up.
IBJI, Ibji, I don't know how you're supposed to say that. Is there a sweet spot for the output level of a pickup?
Yeah, I think. I like, for humbuckers, 8 to 9. If we're talking DC resistance only and we're not getting into all the other stuff, I like 8. I like 7.8 to so just say 8 to just below 10 for humbuckers. That's my favorite. And for single coils, I like really low output Strat pickups. So like 5.8, something like that. Like Stevie Ray pickups are like 5.7 to 5.9. And what's really interesting about Stevie Ray pickups is they're backwards. So his hottest pickup, which would be like 5.8 or so, that's actually 5.8, would be in the neck position. Then the middle one would be 5.8, and then the bridge position would be 5.6 or 5.7. So I really like that. And as far as telly stuff goes, I like 7.4 in the neck and 6.8 in the bridge. Alnico 5s on all of this stuff. I'm an Alnico 5 fan across the board. And then our P90s are 8.2. P90s are the hottest pickups that I like to play at 8.2. And they're not as hot as the hottest humbuckers I like to play, winding wise, but they have more magnet. So overall they're hotter. Yeah.
Zachary McGuire said, thoughts on PCB boards in Les Pauls as opposed to being hand wired. Y'all rock.
So they only did that for like 2 years, 2015 and 2016, and then they stopped. It's not a big deal. It just makes it really a pain to modify them. It's easier just to rip it out and put all regular stuff in there. They're not doing that anymore, even in the Epiphone stuff. Which, if you're a Patreon patron or a YouTube member, the join button down there at the bottom of the screen, right down there, as well as a Patreon member, you will see my 7 reasons why Les Pauls and Epiphone, Gibson Les Pauls and Epiphone Les Pauls are not the same. That video comes out on Patreon and to YouTube members on Monday. And it gets into what they're using now. So you don't have to worry about that. There's only 2 years that they did that, I think. I think it's 2, 15 and 16. I'm pretty sure.
Rick Bonneville says, explain to me noiseless single coils. Like I'm a 6-year-old.
Oh. So noiseless single coils are basically, instead of humbucker with a coil here and a coil here, they're just stacked on top of each other. That's all.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Things that make you go, huh? Like CNC Music Factory. I guess that was not huh. Anyway, after leveling your frets, how much fret do you need left to crown?
Well, if your frets need to be leveled, you shouldn't have to take that much off for that to be a question. And I'm probably not the right person to ask that.
You should go to Texas Toast Guitars.
Yeah, Matt would probably be at Texas Toast would be a better person to ask that. I can do fret work for myself.
Enough to be dangerous.
Yes. If I have, and I do it on my customers' guitars and stuff too, but I mean, I have to have like a Netflix movie and a glass of scotch and nobody around and like chill and do it, and it takes me a long time. And I always get it right, and it's awesome. But I am
your specialty.
Yes, and I am not the person to be like, this is what you should do for your
technical
frets. Yes, I'm not gonna say that I'm the expert on that stuff. Matt would be your man.
Unlike Brett Johnson's question, where he says, "Oh, I don't know, because it's a 12-string. 12-string telly build, 2 P90s or traditional bridge and humbucker in the neck."
Brett, that was supposed to be. We were supposed to ask you that. That was supposed to be a question at the top of the show. Somehow I missed it. I'm sorry about that. He asked that. He's a YouTube member, and he asked that on the YouTube page. And I think I got the Patreon ones and forgot to get that one. So I'm sorry for missing you.
Was that the only one you missed?
Yes.
Okay.
There was only one.
Glad we squeezed you in, Brett.
I would do a traditional bridge pickup with a humbucker in the neck over 2 P90s. And the reason for it is string spacing. Because if you do a 12-string, your string spacing is going to be a little wider. And with a tele pickup, you have, 53 millimeters or whatever to play with. And with the P90, you only have 50. In the neck position, if you get the pickup from me and you tell me it's for a 12-string build, I will make the neck position 52 millimeters instead of 50, so that it can be as wide as possible and take care of that little bit wider string spacing that you're going to have with 12-string. If you use P90s, your outside strings will be hanging off quite a bit. That I thought, and that's the reason I know that I missed that question, because I had already thought about this.
The familiar was question.
Yes.
That's what was coming out of my mouth.
That's pretty funny. I'd already thought about it. I was like, yeah, this is the way I would do it.
He said no worries, so he was still here at least. Thanks, Brett, for being patient with us.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Goat says plans to come back to South Dakota.
I don't know, do we?
We don't have any immediate plans, no. I do feel like that is my year ago today stuff, though.
Is it?
Let me double check my time hop. Yeah, definitely was.
Oh, yeah.
Mount Rushmore. Crazy Horse. Going through tunnels.
Yep. We were there exactly a year ago.
Yep.
We do not have current plans. We will be, because I'm doing those pickup winding classes at Texas Toast in May. So we will be in Colorado in May. So if you want to learn how to build pickups, you can sign up for one of those classes at texastoastguitars.com. They have a tab for it. You sign up over there, but I'm the one actually teaching it. It's going to be super fun. I'm really excited about that. So if you want to learn how to build pickups, you can actually physically go there. It's in Denver, so you have to go there. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. So that's as far west as we have planned right now. That's pretty far west. I guess we could go up. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We haven't decided yet.
I don't know. You can't go up too early, though, right? Like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know.
So, Robert, do you say Croce? It looks like Jim Croce's name anyway. Robert Croce.
Dude, your brother was awesome. Our kids love his records. Anyway, go ahead.
Pickup height. Does it make that much of a difference?
Massive.
And what is the difference?
Massive. So remember that um, your string vibrating in the magnetic field of the pickup, it disturbs that magnetic field. And what I like to say is that it's the string is in the top of a bowl of Jello, and when the string moves, the whole magnetic field moves. Kind of.
Blob.
Yeah. What movie was that?
Monsters vs. Aliens.
Yeah, Monsters vs. Aliens. Anyway, and so if it's too far, it will not make as much voltage. You're trying to make voltage, so it won't make as much voltage. If it's too close, then it interferes with the string. So if you're from America, start with 2 dimes and a nickel and work from there. What I usually do is, which is about 150 thousandths, which is about 4 millimeters if you're a metricist. Somewhere like that. 3 to 4 millimeters, something like that, I guess. Yeah, I would say 4 millimeters.
So go to your group after this is over so you can finish helping Ivan with his picture.
Oh.
Posted some pictures.
Oh, awesome. Dude, that's awesome. Awesome. Cool.
Mr. Goat said the offer for supper still stands. And then he said, because you were inviting him to Colorado, he said, I want to sign up, but I have dumb weddings early in the year, so it's going to eat up my vacation days.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I just think that's funny. All right. 2 more, and then I think we're done.
Okay.
Marty Jackson says, hello. How does the wood really affect the guitar tone on an electric?
To the extent that it makes you feel different when you play the guitar.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Because it is so personal.
Well, here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
I want to do a video about this. Because it's not about the sound of the guitar as much as it is how inspiring the guitar feels. And a lot of people really care about how much the guitar vibrates in their lap. We could go all down some crazy rabbit hole about how you cannot match and blah 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 resonant frequencies of particular pieces of wood.
So he appreciated metric, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Oh, and then you got to put it up. You got to put the 2 dimes and a nickel in upside down because you're in Australia.
In the wrong hemisphere.
Yeah. Do you turn screws? Like, never mind.
Stop it.
Anyway, I think about Australia every time I flush the toilet. Not so much anymore because we don't have regular toilets. But
I was going to say, all they have to do is build ours different and it would go the wrong way.
Oh, I know.
Ours is directionally forcing the water.
The jets go the other... Yeah, no, that's right.
So does that mean they make motorhomes different in the southern hemisphere?
Well, it's a good question.
That would be a
cool
experience.
Can you make a toilet...
Can we drive down and do a South American tour just to see if our toilets work different?
Can you make a toilet spin backwards against
the
gravity?
way it was made?
Yeah.
Gravity? I guess.
Well, it is.
Gravity,
yeah. Reverse the polarity of the toilet.
Wow. This is our life, y'all.
This is real life. So the whole tone wood thing is, I know that a lot of people are very inspired by how much the guitar vibrates in their hands. And so if you need that feeling to feel good about the guitar, then go with it.
With the flow.
We could go all down a whole entire technical rabbit hole about...
Somebody didn't like that answer. I watched a thumbs down come.
Well...
So if you don't have feelings, I'm sorry.
A thumbs down is an interaction, and YouTube likes that, so that's all I care.
I just think it's funny that you're talking about do whatever makes you feel good, and they're like, eh.
I mean,
maybe they're somewhere else in the video.
People want a technical answer for it, and the funny part about it is that the technical scientific answer for that is no. It doesn't make a darn bit of difference. But it's not just about the science of the thing. It's about how the guitar makes you feel. And if you're inspired by a guitar that vibrates a lot, which is sympathetic vibrations, which is actually killing sustain, then
Sympathetic vibrations, that's what you call them?
that's what they're called.
The ones that make you feel good? Sympathetic
vibrations. That's what they're called.
Amazing.
So if you strike the string, that string moves this way, then the guitar moves the opposite way, and it vibrates.
That is really
It's called a sympathetic vibration.
funny name for what
and the thing is the more sympathetic vibrations are in the body of an electric guitar, not an acoustic guitar,
the more they're not going the right place.
The more the shorter amount of time they're going to spend in the tonal area, which means you're going to have less sustain, which is what everybody wants, but it doesn't even really matter because you don't need as much sustain as everybody wants. So see, the whole thing, nothing matters. Like none of it matters.
Yeah. Nothing else matters. We listened to that record last week.
We listened to that record last week. I was listening to a Rick Beato interview with 3 young guitar players, and one of those guitar players had never heard the Black Album. And he was like, they were all trying to be shocked by that. But then he was like, how many years ago was that? I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what's really making me think about relative to...
my kids weren't born then either, and they don't know.
They know that. But they also are... They have you to
well,
as a parent.
They're a product of what they were exposed to. I mean, they also like the Beatles, and I don't like the Beatles, but they can thank their grandma for that.
Remember when Brianna called us? So our daughter's 21. Remember she was probably 16? So it's probably 4 or 5 years ago. Remember when she called and said, I found this awesome new band?
Yeah.
And it was Pantera?
Yeah. That she's listening to Pandora, and, she thinks she's discovering new music because it, gives you something. And she was like, man, this people are awesome. And we were like, who is it? Thinking we're going to discover something new. She was like, Pantera. And we were like, seriously?
They've been broken up for 15 years.
Okay.
Anyway, did we have one more question, or was that it?
I think I have 2 more somehow.
Okay.
I don't know what I did because I had 2 the last time.
No, that's fine.
So anyway. Oh, I know why. All right, so our last technical question. Adam Smith says, I have a Gretsch electromatic jet with a Bigsby with tuning issues. I have replaced the nut with a Graph Tech, put on a roller bridge and locking tuners, looking at Brick Big's fix.
Okay. I have a bunch of videos. If you look at our playlists on our channel, there is a Bigsby only playlist. And there's probably 8 or 9 videos in there. The first place I'm going to point you to is take all the strings off and make sure that the Bigsby flops back and forth with no resistance whatsoever. If it does not, loosen 1 or 2 of the screws and let the metal of the Bigsby relax. It does not have to be tightened down to the body. There are foam pieces in there. There should be foam feet on it to allow it to be still kind of tight to the body without being tight to the body. People, they jam them things down to the body so tight because they want more sustain, and what ends up happening is they twist the body of the Bigsby, and the rods get twisted a little bit, just a tiny little bit, and then the lever doesn't flop back and forth nice and free, and that means that it's binding when you're using it. So that's the first place I would go before you do anything else. There's a whole, we have, I don't know, 8, I love Bigsby's, and I'm like, I can get your Bigsby to stay in tune 100%. I do it. I'm a Bigsby junkie. I can get your guitar to stay in tune 100%. And people that say that Bigsby's are impossible to get into tune, they just are too lazy to do it or haven't taken the time to do it. It can be done. There's that whole thing there. Let me know if you have any other questions after you watch all those videos.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry.
No worries.
All right. Are you done?
Yep. That's it.
So I was going to end on, and I just commented with our other YouTube channel because Scott Estes says, Dylan, I'm selling my house and going on the road. Do you have a Class A RV? If so, any advice on purchasing one? So I
Dude.
commented so that you can find our other channel, Music and Mascara, because I don't know that this is the topic for now, but we definitely
have a whole nother YouTube channel
would
just for
chit-chat
that.
about it.
I will tell you that it is
Gonna be hard to find one.
It's a lot to learn. And it's a constant learning process. I mean, we're always, just before now, we were trying to make sure our washer and dryer was working right. Like, literally, it's constantly, you're learning
Still don't
stuff.
know. I'm going to get off here and check it.
Yeah. I mean, so it's cool. We love it. And I don't have any really good advice for you except that buy the newest. I don't even want to say that. I wouldn't buy a brand new one.
Nope.
I would buy a 3-year-old used one. And I would buy the nicest, best equipped, but more importantly than equipment, condition. Condition is everything. 3-year-old coach. That's what I would do. And ours is a Class A, yes. It's a gas Class A. And I would also pay the money. It's usually $300 to $400, but I would pay the money to have an inspection. It's like a home inspection, but for if you get really serious on one, and even if it's at a dealer, pay for a guy to come out and look at everything. You pay $300 or $400, but that's cheap in comparison to the problems that you could get into if you miss something big. And don't trust the dealer to do that. Pay somebody third party to do it. That would be my quickest, just for right now, advices to give you. And then go check out that other channel. And
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Good luck. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. We've been doing 1.5 years or more now.
Mm-hmm.
More than about a little over 1.5 years, I guess. And we love it. So yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I haven't shot tomorrow's video yet, but tomorrow's video is going to be a cooking rant, I think. It's not going to be a rant, really, but I'm going to cook lunch.
Ooh.
Not for you. Well, I'm going to try this peanut butter bacon burger thing. Yeah. So, there's this burger that Elvis used to eat with bananas, bacon, honey, peanut butter on a burger. So I'm going to try a plant-based version of that tomorrow for lunch. And I thought I was going to shoot it and chat over it like I normally do when I'm like cooking breakfast or lunch, and shoot that as my video. So the video might be a little later tomorrow, but it's going to come out tomorrow. And then Monday's video is really good. It's app tuners, because we did clip-on tuners last week. It's app tuners this week, and then Gibson versus Epiphone is coming out on Patreon on Monday, and it will come out in the rest of the world the following week. So make sure you check those things out. And actually, if you're a YouTube member, you hit that little button down there and join. You get the same thing that the basic Patreon membership does. And we have a bonus class for Patreon members, that tier, this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So lots of cool stuff. Thanks for hanging out. This has been super fun. Y'all are awesome.
Everybody's like, that's what killed Elvis. He did have some stomach issues, I think, but hopefully that burger didn't kill him.
We'll see. I guess we'll find out. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you tomorrow.